MW4 beta is officially here today. I've got 5 ways that you guys can improve. You guys can pub stomp and really make the most out of this next week ahead of you, okay? So let's get right into it. 5 things that I think can really help you guys out. Starting off with tip number 1. In this current version of the game, okay, the way this game is, we're in an MW title. So we just had 2 years of Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 where you could essentially slide around the map. Now in this version of the game, you're going to notice the slide is a little bit more sluggish. So I think the best way to maneuver around the map in this type of game is actually to be jumping around corners, specifically to camera an opponent. So if you want to like challenge someone around a corner, if you know they're going to be there, a slide cancel is great. If you want to get past them, like if you want to jump, or let's use last year, right? There was times where you want to slide around a corner to like use your momentum to camera them. In this game, it's just not going to work. The slide's just a bit too sluggish, so you want to jump around them. So you basically want to kind of run and then start jumping around the corner. And what you're going to do is you're going to fly around that corner. So that's just something to take a look at, and especially in MW titles, the jumping around the corners are a lot more superior than the slides. You should still do sliding in your game, combining the slide cancels with the jumps and kind of getting a feel for that movement and really trying to control your auto attack sprint, right? Really control your attack sprint and how much of that you have. But I definitely think that jumping around corners is much superior than sliding in this version of MW4. Then we go to tip number 2. Give me 1 second. My notepad's not working. I'm trying to write this down. My notepad's not. There you go. Okay. This is a new mechanic. I think this is a really good mechanic. It's double tapping the slide button. So just to tell you guys what this does is when you double tap the slide button, you essentially go into a slide to a prone. Okay, so when you double tap the slide button, you go slide into a prone. This is really good to camera a corner once again, but what's really good about this is when you go into the prone, you can actually stand up pretty quick. So there's things you can do that you can just double slide into a prone. You can stand up really quickly. And what that allows you to do is combine different combinations. And this allows you to be really creative with the slide button. So instead of just doing a normal slide around a corner, I would recommend trying the double slide, the double tapping the slide button, and just kind of play around with it in pubs. Do some different combinations, and then maybe press the left stick up to stand up, press the jump button, and just kind of see like what combinations work for you and how you're able to use that against enemies in gunfights. It does throw them off. Tip number 3. This one's going to be a really interesting one, okay? I always refer to the one pump and snaking in my coaching videos. You guys always see me talking about that. But snaking's basically gone now. And what we have something different is it's very hard to snake right now. There's a big penalty when you kind of stand up, where you can't really just like start shooting. So the whole point of the snaking is almost irrelevant because you don't have the advantage anymore. So what I recommend trying to do is actually trying to crouch peek. So spam crouch. So if you just press the crouch button while behind cover, it's basically going to give you the next best thing. Because snaking is no longer an option, this is essentially the next best thing where you could perma just crouch, keep pressing the crouch button behind a heady, and you will appear in and out. It's not as good as snaking, but because snaking is no longer really a thing right now, it's like the next best thing. I also think what you can try and do as well, and I've seen some people do this, and I haven't given it too much, I would say, I haven't experimented too much with it, but the slide into a prone, what we spoke about earlier, so double tapping the slide button, if you double tap the slide button into cover and then stand up, you kind of get that one pump animation. So that's worth maybe trying out and seeing if you can manipulate that a little bit. If you want to get that advantage on a heady, maybe slide into a prone and then stand up and just see how that kind of feels. As something to, something worth looking at. I think that's going to be really good to try and camera people, especially on a heady. Tip number 4 is going to be your settings. And I have a couple of settings I just thought would be really crucial. So setting number 1, I've been using this last year as well, and I think this is, for me personally, like a must-have. I don't have any disadvantage with it. I absolutely love this setting. So if you go to your settings, controller, and then you'll see combat. If you click combat, the third tab, click combat, and then you'll see a setting, dedicated melee weapon. Once you click that, click on press melee. So what you're essentially doing is when you want to get out your knife, so in MW4, you have your primary, you have your secondary, which is going to be a pistol, and you also have a knife. This is very crucial because Black Ops 7 introduced this. I can't remember if Black Ops 6 if we had it. In MW3, you had to choose between a pistol or a knife. But in MW4, we have a pistol and a knife. So what this does, this makes your AR players a lot more mobile, because when you have the knife out, you're a lot faster. And also with a sub, I like to move around with it as well, because you're a little bit more mobile, and I like to reposition with it. So getting your knife out quicker is such an advantage. If you want to get out anywhere and you have your knife out, you just move quicker. And especially with a game where movement isn't as much of a... It's just not as smooth as a Black Ops 7, right? You want to get as much movement as possible. Having the knife out in certain scenarios is going to be so useful. So I really recommend doing that. Another setting I've been looking at, so if you go to your movement, to controller, go to movement, movement advanced settings on the bottom, tactical sprint activation, I would definitely recommend putting that on single tap run no matter what, okay? Put that on single tap run. This way, when you press your left stick forward, you essentially are an auto attack sprint, which is what this game is going to heavily rely on. Now, the optional setting, and I want to go through the two options, is if you go to your movement again, the top of the setting bar, you'll see sprint assist. Do you want to put that on, off, or tactical sprint assist? So just to show you the difference. So when you have that on, you can actually walk around the map, and you're essentially playing by the hip. You're walking around the map and your gun is down, so you could shoot straight away with no penalty. This is really good so that you don't get caught off guard. It's really good for hip firing and stuff like that, because you're able to just shoot while walking around the map. When you have it on, when you move around the map, your gun is up. It's not in auto attack sprint, but it's up. So what happens is you can still play by the hip if you kind of walk slowly, and you kind of walk left and right or diagonal, because it's only when you walk forward it activates. So if you walk sideways or diagonal, you can do it. But what happens is it's better for being a little bit more mobile, and it's not as cracked as ATS, automatic attack sprint, where like it's too much, right? So it's a really good middle ground. This is what I used for the whole beta. I recently just switched yesterday to automatic attack sprint, and I want to give it a go. And I feel like for this type of game, it just comes down to you lose the ability to play by the hip unless you kind of become good with it. You can play by the hip. So what playing by the hip is essentially is if you ever see someone walking around, like they're not necessarily aiming down sight, they're just kind of having their gun down and they're just playing by the hip. So they're not aiming down sight, they're playing by like the hip file. That's what it means. And then it allows them to work on their centering, and when they see someone, they can then aim down sight. So it kind of makes playing by the hip a little bit harder, but you can kind of work around it, but it makes the movement a lot easier. So I'm just experimenting with that right now to see if I like it or not. But those are the three options I would recommend. And yeah, so give those a go and see which one you like to have to your gameplay. And the last tip, tip number 5, this one's just going to be utilizing the correct weapon for the correct situation. So if you're using an AR, for example, make sure your perks respond well with it. Make sure you're actually prioritizing positioning. You're maintaining the cover. You're not kind of pushing out in the open. You're taking the routes that give you the best positioning long term. Stuff like that. Also, we're in a beta where there's not many weapons, so just, you know, use the strongest weapons, right? If you're using an AR, use the best M4 class. Look up the best M4 class. I got a video on my main channel. Make sure you try different M4 classes. Some might be for you, some might not be for you. There's a build that might be good for a quick playstyle and you're playing long term, so make sure the build matches your playstyle, and just think of it like chemistry points. You want to have the most chemistry points between your build, your playstyle, you, so that it just has synergy, right? And everything feels good. Same for a submachine gun. If you're a submachine gun, you don't want to be posted up in buildings long range. You want to be playing smart, playing creddy spots, playing off angles. You want to be in buildings where there's windows that have easy access to kills outside the window. Like, you don't want to be having long range gunfights, essentially. So those are things I would just really look at. And one thing I think is super underused and really, really good in this game is the SAM turret. So if you go to your field upgrades, you'll see something called a SAM's turret. There's a word in between it, but what that does is it essentially takes out enemy streaks. I think this is so crucial, especially right now where we don't have access to Ghost. Every single person is using a UAV. You don't have Ghost. There's perma UAVs on the map. You literally just want to be able to get rid of them. and this is a great way to do so. So I would recommend doing that. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Those are 5 ways you guys can get better at pub stomping today. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It helps out massively, alright? And I'll catch you guys for another video tomorrow. Peace.